Love the name Isaiah. Isaiah, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for being a member. What's on your mind?
Hey Charlie. Sorry. My question is, what can families do to stay tight-knit and nuclear in today's world?
Well, this is actually the subject of my next book, which I feel even more compelled to write, given that Dennis Prager is not in the best condition right now and hopefully gets out of that. I truly believe if you look at the 10 Commandments, that the 10th commandment that connects to all the other commandments, especially the one that connects to honor your mother and father so that you may live long in the land of which I'm giving you, is to keep the Sabbath day, to remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. I am a firm believer that we as Christians should keep the Sabbath. And I don't say this legalistically. I say this that I think you are missing out on one of the sweetest, most amazing gifts from the divine by not keeping the Sabbath. Now, I will fully acknowledge and disclose to you, I struggled to keep the Sabbath the last month. The whole team will tell you. Andrew and Blake, I had my phone on during the election and the weeks that followed. However, this weekend, I am planning to get right back into standard Sabbath tradition. I took a cheap month for the country. I think everyone will grant me a little bit of a pardon, a little bit of Sabbath amnesty, if you will, a little Sabbath amnesty to save the civilization. It was the Saturday before the election, the Saturday after the election, this last Saturday, and I think one more. Last weekend, I was about half. I had my phone on for half the day, and I did a little bit of work. So we're phasing back into it. I really believe, though, families need devoted time. The Sabbath is the largest standing celebration of God creating the heavens and the earth. The fact that I honor the Sabbath, I look forward to Friday night, to being just with my family. I look forward to Saturday with no work and no way that people can reach me. It is a destination. It is also a cathedral in time. And God created the family as his chosen institution to honor him. The nuclear family is the biblical model to keep values being passed down, to have strong connections and strong networks together. And I really believe that as the nuclear family erodes, that tyranny and socialism, Marxism can ascend. That Marxism must abolish three things: people's connection to the divine, your ownership of private property, and the nuclear family. And so I think honoring the Sabbath is a great way to keep out the noise, to protect yourself from all the chatter of modernity, and to get back into the things that matter. So, and even if you have family who you disagree with, if you spend time appreciating each other and getting down to just spending time with one another, I encourage you guys this Thanksgiving, this Saturday, take the Sabbath challenge, which is for 1 month, every Friday night to Saturday night, turn off your phone and spend time with your family. That's what my next book is about. It's called, the working title, which people seem to like, is Stop in the Name of God. And it's very interesting. Somebody on my team said, Charlie, you sure you want to write that? I said, I'm going to wait for a message from God. The fact that Dennis is not on the air right now, and that was Dennis's most exciting thing that I was working on, I feel a moral obligation to bring that book to completion. It will be a little bit different than the MAGA doctrine, the college scam, and right-wing revolution. However, I think in some ways more important. Okay, who do we have here? Let's go to Josh. Josh, thank you so much for being a member. You helped make this show possible. Happy Thanksgiving. What's on your mind?
Can you hear me, Charlie, okay?
Yes.
Hey, so I've been fighting with seeing a lot of our local, community activities and stuff go by the wayside because the younger generation won't take over for the older generation, and it seems like they're flocking away from our small towns and that sort of stuff like no other. I've come from a really small town in Oregon, and it just seems like there would be ways to promote those things with our youth and that sort of stuff, that we could bring these traditions back and more community pride. And it sort of saddens me to see these kids kind of go listless after high school. And I just kind of wondered, do you guys have any ideas or anything like that would promote pride in our communities and our small towns and that sort of stuff anymore?
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts on this. So the first of which is sometimes young people do need to come out and experience the world before coming back. That is the story of the prodigal son. But I will mention this though, and I think it's fundamentally important that I think there is a trend to go back to the towns that you were raised in. I think technology makes that easier. I think that the kind of aura of the big cities is fading, and that there is a desire to go back to the connectivity and the community of the smaller town America that used to exist. In fact, we're seeing that happen in states like Texas and Arizona. In Arizona in particular, it's not just that Phoenix is growing, it is all the smaller towns that are growing. Show Low is growing, Payson is growing, Prescott is growing, Prescott Valley is growing, Sedona is growing. These are smaller towns that we're actually seeing somewhat declining population, or at least trending of declining population, and now we're seeing a surge. Tech definitely causes problems, but it can also provide amazing opportunities used well. You can be more connected to a small town while still having access to global economic opportunities. So I highly recommend for some of you, if you want to live in the town you were raised, maybe it's Kalispell, Montana, or Duluth, Minnesota, try to make it happen. I think it would be good for you, good for the city, good for the community, and good for your family. I, for one, would not be able to live in a major city. I would not be able to live in D.C. or New York or Minneapolis or Chicago or Los Angeles, San Francisco. And when you go to these small towns, you are able to then build up the churches, build up the communities as well. Blake, as he normally does, kindly reminded me that Phoenix is a major city. However, I will say this. Phoenix is a very horizontal city, becoming a vertical city. It is not necessarily as dense as New York, Chicago, Boston, D.C. It's incredibly spread out. And I don't technically live in Phoenix. Email us as always, freedom@charliekirk.com, and subscribe to our podcast. Become a member today, members.charliekirk.com. It is a glorious Thanksgiving, everybody. Jennifer, thank you for being a member. Happy Thanksgiving. What is on your mind? Okay, Jennifer, make sure you unmute. Okay, we might have to...
Okay, can you hear me now?
Jennifer, yes, what's on your mind?
Sorry. I'm a mother of two boys, and we're all Christians. And my question is, how do you think that the current political and cultural climate, especially with the issues of the war in Ukraine, the economic instability, will impact the way that we raise our children and teach them about faith, responsibility, and the future?
Yeah, I mean, look, teaching young people about that, one of the most important things is turning off the devices and pouring in to young people about foundational texts. Look, I mean, our daughter is only 2 years, so I'm hardly an expert on this. However, I can say limiting screen time and never put our faith ultimately in government. Instead, we put our faith in God and God Almighty and God alone. One of the most important things you can do. And I think we are seeing... Again, I don't want to be overly optimistic because Blake will bring me back down to earth, but I think that we could be entering an American Renaissance. I'm seeing people in our community, in our following, that are kind of in our following ranks, that are desiring the beautiful things, the deep things, the established natural order. As we say many times here on the Charlie Kirk Show, nature is healing. And I will just say this verse, Philippians, I love this verse, by the way, Philippians 4:11-13. I'm not saying this because I'm in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let's go here to Penelope, please. What is on your mind? Penelope, thanks for being a member.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering if the rumors are true. Are you actually going to run for governor of Arizona?
No, I'm staying at Turning Point USA. Those are a lot of rumors,
Yay.
but a lot of people are talking.
And I was wondering
So,
also about how.
It is very
Are
flattering,
you
though.
still there?
Yes.
I was also wondering how Kerry Lake lost, even though Trump won Arizona.
So a couple things on that. So number one, McConnell kind of abandoned, if you will, the Kerry Lake campaign. There was no investment from D.C. Senate Republicans. There was no major concerted, let's just say, strategy from the D.C. Senate. And yeah, look, I mean, McConnell and the gang, they did not want Kerry Lake to become a U.S. Senator. They did not want Kerry Lake to get across the finish line. And because of that, look, she was always polling behind. It's just a fact. We actually were able to tighten that. And so now we've seen honestly, this is one of the reasons why we sadly lost in Michigan and Wisconsin as well. Kerry Lake is amazing. I wish she'd be a senator. But, you know, when you do not have investments from D.C. and from the Senate Leadership Fund, it's very, very hard to overcome that. So very hard. But
Okay.
Thank you for being a member. Really appreciate it.
Love ya.
Thank you.
In 2026, the Michigan Democrat trifecta of Governor, AG, and SOS will term out. Can you give advice on how we Republicans in Michigan can take back our state?
Yeah, is in Michigan. Look, in Michigan, we need better statewide candidates, and we need to try to build off of the success that we have seen this last cycle. So this last cycle, what we've seen, and like what we've seen basically is the Michigan Republican Party win presidentially, be very, very close on the Senate side, and within like 18 or 20,000 votes, with really not a major investment from the top down. So we have to build out the grassroots infrastructure. We have to get aligned with great organizations, and we work directly with Great Education Action in Michigan. We were active in the 7th Congressional District in Michigan, and you have to start local state reps as well. We chased over 14,000 low prop votes in Michigan 7 and successfully flipping that congressional seat from D to R and also helping win the state house. And so I have to keep that momentum going, which would be critical to turn Michigan into a red state. It shows that we can do it, and President Trump did a miraculous job of setting the table.
Great, thanks.
So, thank you. Okay, let's see. We have Melissa. Thank you for being a member.
Hi, Charlie.
How are you?
No. I'm great. I love your show. And
thank you so much.
Appreciate all the work you did with
Happy
it.
Thanksgiving. What's on your mind?
Yes, my question is, what do you believe are the biggest concerns or challenges that our country's facing leading up to Trump's second term?
So I think subversion. Like undercutting and subverting the established order and the transition from one administration to the other, right? I think that one of the biggest issues will be the lying, will be the leaking, will be the circumstantial issues. They sabotaged the first Trump administration, and they will try to do it again, and we have to try to be ready. And so also just personnel is everything. It's incredibly important. Now, will the president actually get the intel briefs without the bureaucrats filtering out the truth? That is the question. I am very, very concerned that the intel community is going to try to subvert him again.
Very good.
So, but thank you for being a member, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Okay, who is next here? Let's see. Mary, thank you for being a member. Members.charliekirk.com. What is on your mind?
I wanted to ask, how do we prevent President Biden from continuing to mess with our economy, international politics, and domestic politics? Because he certainly seems to be aimed at continuing to try to stir the pot.
So look, the issue, I think, especially in Ukraine, I think that President Trump needs to have a total global reset. And Joe Biden has just announced he wants another $24 billion from Congress in Ukraine. He wants to try to spend more of our taxpayer dollars on the ground on this ridiculous proxy war with Russia. And we're seeing this develop, up to a place where this could become World War III. And they're going to try to hand Donald Trump the greatest possible mess imaginable. And so I think President Trump is very smart to try and govern the country through this interim period, through this transition period. And so I'll tell you, I am not at peace about this next month and a half, because we could be getting towards something very, very dark and destructive. So, Mary, thank you for being a member. Mary, where are you from?
Taylor, Texas, home of the new Samsung chip fabrication plant. It's huge.
I love it. Thank you for being a member. Daniel, Daniel,
you.
what's on your mind? Absolutely. Daniel, happy Thanksgiving. What is on your mind? And thank you for being a member.
Hi, thank you for having me. My question is, in general, are we misinterpreting the mandate that Trump received? And specifically, this is two parts to it. First of all, are we underestimating the Democrats too much? All over the news, even in Democrats and Republicans, I see everybody saying less rights for Democrats, that they're fundamentally gone. Whereas I feel that they primarily failed because, A, they had an atrocious candidate, they had horrible policies, and they had disaster after disaster of a record. But they have so many things going for them. They have the corporate media, they have educational institutions, they have tech giants, they have the deep state government, they have neocons. If you look globally at other countries, we're fortunate what happened here, but for example, the UK is doing very badly. And also when Democrats vote, they vote very united, whereas we right now have a coalition of MAGA and old-style Republicans, which, as you can see, is already starting to give some problems. So are we underestimating the Democrats too much in the way we communicate?
Well, I'm not underestimating them. Look, things can change dramatically. If you looked at the 2020 election, you'd think that, MAGA is cooked, the Republican Party can't win again, or even the 2008 election or the 2012 election. Look, people are asking, and repeatedly, are we overplaying our hand? And maybe, however, I will say this. The Democrats are going to come back with ferocity. They still control the major institutions of influence. They control Hollywood. They control the major tech companies. They're not going to just go away. The Democrat Party is not just going to disappear. When we start probably deporting people, they're going to be re-inspired and they're going to be in the streets and there will be protests. It doesn't really matter. You have to do the job the American people hired you for, and you have to do it quickly and efficiently. And understand, the media and celebrities failed them, proved that they're not as powerful as they used to be. And yeah, I think some people might be getting a little too cocky, but I don't really care. We're 3 weeks out from a well-deserved, well-earned victory. There'll be plenty of time to humble people later. I think that this is a well-earned celebratory period. I really mean that. And I think it's okay to taunt the left a little bit. I think it's okay to celebrate and to take a month off and just chill out. And you'll never hear me say that. At Turning Point, we're not doing that. But I mean just for the general population. But the Democrats will be back. They're going to adjust. They're going to figure out better ways to communicate to the population. They hate losing. And also, the Democrats are in a time of civil war. There's a battle that is coming between the wokies and the moderates. So it's by no means the Democrats are done, but we have an opportunity to seize on this mandate. And it is a mandate. He won the popular vote. He blew out the Electoral College. He won triumphantly with more electoral votes than he did in 2016. So, but you have to imagine, if you're the left, imagine if you have all this cultural power and you still lose. It could be very, very demoralizing. Okay, Skylar, thank you for being a member. Members.charliekirk.com. Happy Thanksgiving. What's on your mind?
Hello. So as someone who's fresh into voting and more into politics recently, in your view, what is the most effective way to engage young people in conservative principles and ideas?
Well, it's a great question, Skylar. How old are you, Skylar, by the way?
I am 18.
Awesome. Well, look, I can tell you this. Ask questions of your peers. Why do you believe that? Where do you get your information from? What do you think is true? Asking questions can get you much and much closer to some approximation of the truth. And so then also try to read as many books as you possibly can on this subject matter. Nothing replaces a desire and a pursuit of learning and knowledge. So Skylar, I would tell you, just try to be non-confrontational but direct, ask the right questions, and hold the line if people try to call you a bad names just because of your politics. Our TikTok videos, by the way, were so popular because it was real debates. Authenticity, deconstructing lies, 3 billion views this semester. So thank you, Skylar. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Amy, thank you for being a member. Happy Thanksgiving. Members.charliekirk.com. Amy, what's on your mind?
Hi, Charlie. Happy Thanksgiving to you and Erica and your family. We are just very sincerely thankful for you and the team, Daisy, Blake, Andrew, Ryan, all of them. It's just amazing to enjoy your coverage and all of your hard work. So thanks for all that you do.